Hello again. Picking up from our last video in Yosemite, we exit the park and make a lovely stop for the night at Mono Lake after checking out the shoreline and tufas. The following day's adventure was Alabama Hills for a lovely dark sky night of photography. Then some quick stops in Death Valley before we moved further east to check out the Petrified Forest National Park after another lovely evening under the stars. We wrap up after feeling the heat in Devil's Playground. Check it all out now.
As long as you keep your eyes to the east, it's hard to believe Mono Lake is so close to the Sierras and Yosemite, but all it takes is a gaze west for the mountains to remind you as they consume the skyline. Our focus, however, was on the tufas and unique landscape of the lake. After a short walk at the visitor center, which we found closed, we headed over to walk the short 1 mile South Tufa Loop trail before making our way to find a campsite for the evening.
Man, what a campsite we found. It's pretty rare to have grand vista views over popular places and have them to yourself, but that's exactly what we had. Not another person was heard or seen in our entire stay. Once we got our dryer sheet out, we even got rid of those annoying gnats. Bye, campsite.
Bye!
You were wonderful. Our next destination of Alabama Hills wasn't very far away, so even though we'd slept in a bit, we still arrived fairly early. This gave us plenty of time to drive around, explore, and pick another campsite for the evening that I was hoping would provide some Milky Way views at bedtime.
I think Jay had all of his cameras and mine working for most of the night on photos, time lapses, and video. All I know is it was morning, not night, before we settled into bed, so it was another late start in the morning before we hit the road. We opted to take the long way out, and I'm glad we did. It was a great drive and allowed us to fill up the tank in Lone Pine before pushing east. The slower start didn't keep us from stopping at a few new places in Death Valley while we passed through. Jay was hinting around at another late night of photography in the valley, but I was trying to pull us along toward our next stop, just outside the Petrified Forest National Park.
Wilma just turned 52. Happy birthday, Wilma. Happy birthday.
We camped alone along the Little Colorado River with more vista views and clear skies, so I wasn't surprised to see Jay set up a camera before climbing into the tent.
Okay, quick update. It was our intent today on our way home to stop by the Petrified Forest National Park. We are here.
Yes.
We are actually just outside the gate. However, one of the things that you can do is get a permit or a pass to go out to the Devil's Playground.
Yes.
They only issue 3 of those a day. You have to have a high clearance vehicle.
Yes.
And you have to be in person to get those passes. We were lucky enough to get one. We got up super early. We got one today. So we're actually going to leave the park. We're going to go do that hike out to Devil's Playground.
Yep.
Then we're going to come back and do some exploring before we continue our way east and home. So here we go. The hike to Devil's Playground begins well marked and takes you across, along, and through a large wash before making its way into a small gorge that teases of the geology to come. Once out of the gorge, there is a significant hike through a prairie, where the signage goes away and your path becomes your own to create. Because of this, plan on a much longer hike than the 7.2 to 7.4 that many of the hiking apps indicated. Our path ended up being 8.7 miles, and with the loose gravel of the washes and lack of shade, it felt like much more than this. We packed enough water for 10 miles and used the last bit of it just before the truck came back into view. This said, it was a really cool hike, and we're glad to have had the opportunity to explore the area.
After a cool down in the truck's AC, we headed back into the main park area. Here, we were initially reminded of Badlands National Park and why the area is called the Painted Desert. One of our first stops was at a long-lost section for Route 66. Then, onto some ruins where we observed some of the best petroglyphs we'd ever seen before checking out what the place is named for on our exit. So that's a wrap on the Petrified Forest National Park.
That's right, and while we still have tremendous miles to cover to get back home to Ohio, it's burn and churn time. So this is also a wrap on this amazing overland trip that we have had across the country and out west. Thanks for following along, and we will see you again on our next little journey. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.